Hello and welcome back to Aus Football Talk. My name's Cody Ojeda, here to take you through all you need to know about the world of Australian football. Starting with the major national team headlines, the Joeys, our under-17s boys national team, failed to make it beyond the group stage of the Asian Cup. Meanwhile, the Matildas returned to winning ways, beating South Korea 1-0 and 2-0 in a friendly series in New South Wales. Staying on the Matildas though, and they're still left without a permanent manager. It's been 8 months since James Johnson said they'd take the time to make the right appointment, but I don't think anyone was expecting it to take this long. So where does the next Matildas manager come from, and when will we see one appointed? The Matildas have won back-to-back matches this month in a friendly series against South Korea. But aside from a record crowd in the Hunter, fans mobilising in the last 10 minutes of matches desperate for autographs and a host of injuries both during and following the matches, the series was largely irrelevant for one main reason. The side still doesn't have a permanent manager. It's been 8 months since Tony Gustafsson took part of the role, and with the next 3-year period being the Golden Generation's last chance at a major trophy, the Matildas' first since 2010, the next appointment is a crucial one. So who are the current frontrunners for the top job, and who will we most likely see take the role? And when? The likes of Mel Andriata and Leah Blaney taking roles overseas mean internal options are limited. Tom Samani himself has had a mixed bag of results as interim manager. A win away to Germany was followed by a poor showing at the She Believes Cup. And frankly, all signs from the Matildas can't point to this being purely temporary. A name that's been thrown around quietly has been Tanya Oxtoby. Spending time as an assistant at Perth Glory and the Young Matildas, she moved over to the UK and has had stints as assistants at Birmingham and Scotland, as well as a top job at Bristol, before joining Emma Hayes' coaching staff at Chelsea. Currently the head coach of Northern Ireland, a role she's been in since 2023. The reality is, if she was a genuine consideration, she'd probably be in the job already. A more recognisable name for Matildas fans would be Ante Juric. Currently the manager of Sydney FC, he's led the club through their most successful period. 3 premierships and 3 grand final wins, he's made the showpiece event in every season he's been in charge except for the current campaign. While his success speaks for itself, Sydney FC's current form may have affected public opinion about his ability to be able to step up to the Matildas job. Now there have been 2 main frontrunners for this role, the first being Socceroos legend John Aloisi. Synonymous with major Socceroos milestones, his appointment would be a full circle moment of sorts, to be able to lead the women's national team through their own golden era. He showed promising signs at Brisbane Roar. At Western United, he won the A-League Grand Final in his first season, and this season he's taken a young squad and exceeded expectations. A lack of consistency may have fans concerned, and there's a fair point to that, and this would be a big step for him to take, but the signs are there that this could work out. The other front runner, the favourite for this role, and quite possibly the popular choice too, Joe Montemuro. This is genuinely one of the most impressive CVs in world football. After leading Melbourne City through their near unstoppable start to life in the A-League Women's, he went to Arsenal, winning the League Cup in his first season and the league in his next. In 2021, he went to Juventus, won a league title, 2 Coppa Italias, and is now at Lyon, one of the biggest clubs in women's football. And this season so far, he has a sizable lead on the league. Securing Montemuro would be a major coup for Football Australia. A manager with a track record for success at the highest levels of the game isn't one usually to take the Australia job. Hopefully the fact that he's a local will make it a bit more appealing. Neither Aloisi or Montemuro would be available before season's end, but maybe this was the FA's plan all along. Wait for the best option to be available, rather than take an easy option at the time. While that's a noble strategy, it effectively means the last 8 months of Matilda's action has been meaningless, and players have vented their frustration. The reality is though, if Football Australia can get Montemuro in, and the Matildas have a successful Asian Cup, or just in general have a successful Asian Cup, it'll make it all worthwhile. Hopefully the right appointment is made, and hopefully soon too, just so the side isn't stuck in this constant limbo. Moving on to the domestic game, it's never a quiet period in the A-League, is it? Auckland have wrapped up the A-League men's title, the first time a New Zealand side has won the top flight in Australia. Meanwhile, the race for the ACL elite spot heats up, and Sydney FC's ACL 2 run comes to an end at the hands of Singapore's Lion City Sailors. In the A-League women's, the final series is underway, the first leg of the major semi-finals happening this weekend. It's Melbourne City's women's team that are the story of Australian football right now. Invincibles in the league for a second time, the first time it's been done in a full home and away season, and coming up for them, an Asian Champions League semi-final. Melbourne City's women's side have had a season to remember in the A-League. Undefeated after 23 games and a shot at the double. And in May, they have an opportunity at another slice of history, in the AFC Women's Champions League. The Continental Tournament's in its first year, following the Old Club Championship. Sydney FC took part in the 2023 edition, winning 2 from 3 group games, but missing out on a final spot to Incheon Red Angels. Melbourne City booked their spot in the Champions League after winning the 23-24 A-League Women's regular season, and have taken to continental football like a duck to water.
It's a very new test. We've not seen anything really like this except for the sort of pre-Champions League thing that we had last year with Sydney. Come out, they've adapted to new tactics, and to get that thumping win here, like, it's a big statement.
3 wins from 3 against Bam Katoon, Kaya Loilo, and College of Asian Scholars. 9 goals scored and just 1 conceded.
You look at City, and I think all the focus has been on Holly McNamara's return and how many goals City have just been putting in, which has been absolutely phenomenal. But I think for me, it's the backline that's really stood out.
The group stage took place in centralised locations, cities being in Thailand, but their performances meant they got the opportunity to host the quarter-final in Melbourne.
I remember going to games like that when I was a child, and you see these people who've put in their heart and soul to be there, who've come from other countries, and to see your team actually win that and like have the opportunity to win that on home soil is just spectacular.
This would be the first time a women's club continental match took place on Australian soil, after Sydney FC played all their games in Uzbekistan. An historic moment for Melbourne City and women's football in Australia.
Anyone who was in the stands that day, I'm sure they've taken that, they remember that, and like, it's one of those things that just stays with you, especially now if Melbourne do make it to the final, which let's hope. I believe that they can, but if they do make it to the final, like, you're going to be like, I was a small part of that, and I feel like that will always stay with you.
It was an opportunity they didn't pass up too, running out 3-0 winners against Taichung Blue Whale. The semi-finals await City now, facing none other than Incheon Red Angels, a team that knocked Sydney FC out of the competition in 2023. No doubt this is their hardest task yet, but the way they're playing, it'll take something special to stop them.
Most of the players here haven't played in games like that before. A lot of players, again, while City has a large number of internationals, a lot of them haven't played in like, that kind of travelling sort of system.
It's a massive chance to show where the domestic game is at.
I think like Melbourne City's given us a really good example and indicator that we're actually really, really strong here.
Once upon a time, the old W League was able to attract some of the world's best players, even if it was only on a guest contract. But the advancement of women's football around the globe has seen a slow drop-off in quality of our domestic league. But it's forced clubs to adapt in the way they build their squads. Now with a focus on younger talent, and City over the last few years have been one of the best in managing this.
They had a reasonable amount of turnover between last season and this season. Obviously, Daniela Galic, who was the best player last season, now gone off to Netherlands. Caitlin Torby left mid-season. They lost their coach as well, Dara Vijicic, obviously doing really well with Brighton as well. Somehow, Melbourne have been like, that's okay. We will bring in good players and we will make this work.
Going through a period of heavy turnover after their premiership winning season, to come into this season with new players, a new manager, and perform at the level that they've been able to is something quite special.
Marina Speckmeyer from Wellington was a wonderful signing. Alexia Postolakis, obviously from Western Sydney, again, someone who's really young. Like they're players who were good, but you're not necessarily your marquee players, and they've gone on and like they've just integrated so well into that system, and I think it really is a testament to how they're coached.
While they haven't needed to balance large amounts of travel with the domestic campaign, the ability to be successful against a large variety of teams is no easy feat.
Champions League in general has always been my favourite competition into like club football, because you get to see so many teams with completely different styles play against each other.
A competition like this places a whole new challenge to Australian clubs they seldom faced in the past. Countries in Asia, particularly in the East, are starting to professionalise their competitions, meaning City are facing sides more so in this stage of the competition that train day in day out. Success in this competition shouldn't be understated. The Wanderers run in the men's equivalent in 2014 was rightly celebrated after they overcame a number of teams with a vast amount of wealth compared to them. City may not be in the same boat entirely, but toppling Asia's best teams as a semi-pro side would be a massive achievement for Australian football. City achieving silverware in the Champions League is by no means a foregone conclusion, but the way they've played this season deserves to be turning heads.
They've had scares, they've been down until like the 70th minute of the game, and you think, oh my god, it's going to be their first loss, and then out of nowhere they've come back.
They've been unbelievable, virtually unstoppable, and a great representation for our domestic game. And as they continue their journey through Asia, it deserves the attention of all football fans in the country. Last week I asked on Instagram and Twitter for the people to give me their A-League Women's regular season team of the season. This was the result. In goals, it's City's Spanish shot stopper Milena Mieres, the second most clean sheets in the league and statistically the best sweeper keeper in the competition. Left back, Alana Janshevsky, a natural winger or forward, almost shoehorned into the role after signing with her hometown club Melbourne Victory. 5 goals, 3 assists for the season, a real creative force from the fullback role. The first centre back, Melbourne City captain Rebecca Stott, key to a strong Melbourne City defence and also their style of play. Stott, the best in the league for passes per 90, and partnering her, Central Coast Mariners Taylor Ray, another makeshift defender throughout the season and a key player for the Mariners in their run to 4th. To complete the backline, Melbourne City's Alexia Postolakis fits in at right back. 2 goals, 3 assists going forward, as well as 130 recoveries, 91 duels won, key both at the back and going forward for City. Starting the midfield at the base is Isabel Gomez from Central Coast Mariners. Only 12 games this season due to injury, but a clear standout every time she was on the field. A rock in front of the Mariners backline and also chipping in with 7 goal contributions. Tamika Yallop is the centre mid, the Matilda a star for Brisbane Roar. Part of the chasing pack for the Golden Boot even as a midfielder, 2 braces and a hat-trick this season, and one of the most successful passers in the competition. And as the attacking mid, we have Alex Chidiac, a fan favourite in every sense. At the centre for everything for Melbourne victory this season, 5 assists and one of the league's best creative outlets. At left wing, Sydney's Indiana dos Santos. The 17-year-old was arguably Sydney FC's best player this season. 3 goals, 3 assists, 39 chances created at the centre of everything good her side did this season. And on the right-hand side, Western Sydney Wanderers Sienna Silvesca. 7 goals, 3 assists including a hat-trick against Western United, a standout for the Wanderers this season. And finally up top, Golden Boot winner Holly McNamara. After missing the start of the season as she recovered from an ACL injury, she wasted no time returning to form, scoring 15 goals and leading the scoring charts by a good margin, a crucial figure in City's invincible season. On the bench, the backup goalkeepers are Mariners Sarah Langman, defenders Taylor Otto and Sasha Grove of Melbourne City and Western United respectively, Chloe Lagazzo also of Western United as the midfielder, and the forwards include City duo Mariana Speckmeyer and Lords Bosch, as well as Adelaide United's Fiona Wirtz. And to round out the side, the woman in the hot seat, Mariners manager Emily Husband, after another stellar season at the helm in the Central Coast. Plenty of big names stepping up in the A-League Women's this season, and more action to come too as the final series continues. It's not just a top flight where it's all happening though in Australia, the lower leagues presenting plenty of storylines. Mount Druitt's women's team is having an incredible start to life in the NPL New South Wales, while in the men's equivalent, Marconi and Rockdale get a stronghold on the league. Who else is impressing, you might ask? I wonder indeed. Welcome to the second edition of our NPL Power Rankings. Full disclosure, stats correct as of 29th of April. To start off, in 10th it's Apia. Once again, when Apia is on, they're on. 12 goals in their last 5 games, 3 wins in that time, and 5th in the NPL New South Wales. At 9th, Edgeworth Eagles. 6 straight wins where they've scored 24 goals all up. Deserved leaders in northern New South Wales. In 8th spot, Blacktown City. Climbing to 3rd in New South Wales on the back of 4 straight wins. Their most recent and incredible second half comeback against Sydney United. 7th, Bayswater City. A perfect record to start the season in Western Australia. Only 1 goal conceded in their last 5 games and 18 scored so far this season. At 6th, it's Dandenong Thunder, the first of a strong top 4 contingent in Victoria. They've had eye-catching wins this season against Melbourne Knights, South Melbourne and Heidelberg. In 5th spot, Avondale. A couple losses in recent weeks, but that doesn't discount their early season form. Still top of the NPL Victoria for now at least. 4th, it's Rockdale. An 8-1 win against the Wanderers youth team shows their class, a side that hasn't been kept scoreless all season too. 3rd place, it's Oakley Cannons. A recent loss to Heidelberg ended a 5-match winning run where they beat the likes of Preston and Dandy Thunder. Still a very strong side in Victoria. In 2nd, Heidelberg United. On an 8-match winning run, they've climbed to 2nd in the NPL Victoria after key wins against Oakley and Avondale in the last 2 weeks. And the top NPL team right now, Marconi. 7 straight wins including a then top of the table clash with Spirit. Undefeated in the league, free scoring and solid defensively too. A side that looks unstoppable right now. Moving abroad, plenty of Australians have garnered attention. Our Arsenal women's trio are in Champions League final, the Hibs boys continue to impress, and Aidan O'Neill makes a deadline day move to New York City FC. But now, a look at those outside the national teams. Welcome back to On The Radar, showcasing the performances and players of Aussies abroad you should know about. Starting with Cup action, and Jedru unfortunately went down 1-0 in the Austrian Cup final with his new club TSV Hartberg, playing 60 minutes in their loss to Wolfsberger AC. Meanwhile in Slovenia, brothers Denny and Tommy Juric are in the country's cup final, Tommy scoring 3 goals across the quarters and the semis to guide Koper to the big stage. And on the continental stage, Bailey Wright has played a big part in a history-making moment for Singaporean football, helping lead Lion City Sailors to the ACL 2 final. The first time a side from Singapore has made a continental final. Unfortunately, it was at the expense of Sydney FC, Wright playing the entirety of 2 legs as Lion City won 2-1 on aggregate. Back in Europe, and it's been a big month for some of our young Aussies. Daniel Benny and Thomas Waddingham have made their starting debuts for their championship clubs. Benny at QPR and Waddingham at Pompey after signing there in January. Max Ballard, who's impressed for NAC Breda this season, got his first goal for the club. And Marcus Eunice, currently on loan at PSV, has returned to the score sheet for their youth side. Mo Toure scored in a 3-1 win for Renders as they push their outside chance at a Danish Superliga title. Ryan Strain in Scotland has continued his fine form for Dundee United, an assist and a hand in 2 clean sheets as they enter the championship playoff group. And in good news for Socceroos fans, Ale Susati has made a return to the Parma squad a lot earlier than expected. Doing his ACL in September, Susati returned to the bench in recent weeks, after originally thought to have been out for the rest of the season. Moving around the world, and Brad Smith has made his debut for new MLS club Cincinnati, and the Aussie Mahun Bagan trio, Jamie McLaren, Dimi Petrados and Jason Cummings have won the Indian Super League Cup final. Another trophy in the locker, it was Jamie McLaren too, who sealed it with a match winner in extra time. Champions League football, let's go! Harry Kane may actually be cursed. How on earth did we get through that? 90 minutes is a long time at the Bernabeu. We may just be the best team in the world. Who needs the Premier League? Easy pickings this Europa League thing. This stupid club. Harry Maguire, I've never said a bad word about you in my life. Know what? That could have been a lot worse. Why do we always make things 10 times harder than it needs to be? I swear. Who's next on the hit list? PSG? Hey, talk him down now. That's what I'm talking about. Easy. Everyone's sleeping on us as usual. That's okay. I like it that way. Look who you're playing next. I just tried to say their name and shit started floating in the kitchen. Well, that was fun while it lasted. How good is Champions League football? The European season's starting to wrap up. Look, we can take the piss out of Liverpool fans, but they were up on Monday morning celebrating silverware. There can be no qualms about how good they've been this season. As always, to wrap up the show, going further worldwide, here's this episode's overseas moment we wish happened in the A-League. This month again brought us two beautiful moments abroad that wouldn't look out of place in the A-League. The first from Argentina, a top flight match between Instituto and Deportivo Riestra. And despite being 1-0 down, Riestra goalkeeper Ignacio Aus backed his footwork a bit too much. A chaotic own goal, a cherry on top for the side too. And the second, slightly closer to home, the J-League. Yokohama F Marinos who are having a horrid start to the season. And it didn't get any better facing fellow heavyweight Urawa Red Diamonds. A throwing routine going horribly wrong. The best part? A familiar face at the helm of it all. You can take Paddy out of the A-League, but you can't take the A-League out of Paddy. That's all for today's episode. Thank you once again for tuning in. If you did enjoy the episode, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It does help me out a lot. Drop any segment ideas you want to see in the comments. We'll be seeing you next month. My name's Cody Ojeda. It's bye for now.